Alright folks, welcome back to the channel. Richard Airborne Aviation here, and today we're doing something special again. Me and my son, we're flying from Oban airport back to Perth EGPT in the Eurostar EV-97. After a quick refuel and a stretch of legs on the west coast, Oban is honestly one of the most scenic airports in the world of Scotland. Surrounded by mountains, islands and that crisp Atlantic air, it always feels like a privilege flying in and out of here. We're topped up with fuel, done all my checks, the weather looks good and the sun is slowly starting its descent. So this is going to be a beautiful flight back home before sunset. Let's get everything fired up and get airborne. My wife got these videos of us on the webcams. She was back at home and she got us on the webcams taking off. And there we go, straight off into the sunset. So here I am, lined up on runway 19 here at Oban. It's a lovely long runway with a sea right in front of you, honestly like taking off from a postcard. Run-up checks, temperature and pressures in the green, magneto drops were good, carb working, controls full and free, trim was set, fuel on the both tanks, and then we'll make our departure call. And let's get rolling. Smooth power, airspeed's alive, 40-50, and we're airborne. Climbing away now over the coast, and look at that view already. What a place. Right, we're climbing through over 1,000 feet now, and we're just making a turn eastbound, tracking back inland towards the great Scottish Highlands. This is where it becomes proper storybook flying, mountains on both sides, the seas behind you, and that sense of freedom you only get in Scotland. We'll level out around 3,500 feet and then climb up to about 6,000 feet, just enough to give us glide options, clear turbulence and keep a bit of separation between the hilltops. I always talk about this, the Scottish terrain looks stunning, but you have to treat it with a serious respect. These hills create their own weather, downdrafts, rotor, sudden gusts, and the winds can shift in seconds. It's why planning matters. You don't just cross mountains because they look pretty, you cross them when it's safe, with altitude, with options and with the engine running perfectly. And speaking of mountains, look at the ridges ahead as we leave the coast behind. Absolutely breathtaking. Breaking through a little bit of cloud here as we head east, but we still have VFR sight on the ground. And look at that sun, absolutely stunning. As we cut inland, we're surrounded by the Munros, these giants of Scotland, and you really can't help but admire them from up here. Somewhere down there, all the trays I used to slug up when I served in Her Majesty's Royal Marines back then. Climbing the mountains wasn't optional. It was a Tuesday morning, and I'll tell you this, doing them under your own legs hurts a lot more than flying them over in the Eurostar. We'll We're keeping the scan going constantly. The engine temperatures and pressures, the fuel, the trim, clouds building on the peaks and any turbulence rolling off the slopes. The air looks smooth today. Look at my son just enjoying the scenery and the flight, taking it all in. You've always got to have that awareness in the back of your mind. The Highlands demand respect, and this is why Scottish flying feels so rewarding. Every flight is a mix of skill, experience, planning and just stopping to appreciate how lucky we actually are. So right now we're crossing over some of the most amazing mountains in the country. Long dark locks stretch between the mountains like ribbons, and then from the cockpit you'll really see how untouched Scotland is. You see miles and miles of nothing but wilderness. This part of the trip is where you sort of settle in. The engine's humming sweetly, the aircraft trimmed up nicely for cruise, and you get into that rhythm of long distance flying. Scan the instruments, look outside, check the position, keep ahead of the aircraft. I always like to remind people flying isn't about reacting, it's about staying ahead and thinking 2 or 3 steps in the future. And right now that future is heading east towards Perth. With the sun slowly dipping behind us, we're racing daylight, but it's looking like a perfect arrival time. As we begin to leave the wild highlands behind, the terrain slowly softens and you start to see the roads, the rivers, fields, signs that civilization is creeping back in. And up ahead is the western edge of the Cairngorm Belt, and once we cross this final spine of high ground, Perth will start coming into view. This is the moment on a flight where you start to feel like you're coming home. You know that area, you know the airspace, and you know the procedures like the back of your hand. You do a few checks and the fuel is good. The lights on as the sun lowers. Radio tuned for Perth, and descent is now planned. And look at that sky. Golden hour, the world landscape turning that soft orange glow, and this is why we do it. We've already started our descent into the Perth area. Air traffic control will be on soon and we'll rejoin as instructed. Usually a standard overhead join or a direct join depending on traffic, but mainly an overhead join at 2,000 feet. The River Tay starts appearing as you come from this side, and it's a perfect visual reference. We're keeping the speed under control, the carb occasionally checked, and we'll level off around the circuit eye once we're a lot closer. You can feel the air getting smoother as the engines settle into the slower descent power, and lovely end to the day. So I'm just about to make my rejoin call to air traffic control. Perth radio, Golf Tango India Victor Victor, inbound from the west, request rejoin instructions. And there I have it, runway 27 is in use, with a couple of other aircraft in the circuit to look out for. So we started off with the raft checks before the approach, radio call, altimeter QFE, fuel pump on, fuel sufficient, and the T's and P's are all okay. Right, as we start getting a bit closer to Perth now, which you can see on our right hand side, this is one of my favourite parts of flying in Scotland. You get this amazing blend of open countryside, rolling farmland and little pockets of woodland all stitched together like a mass patchwork quilt. Perth itself sits right on the River Tay, which you can see winding its way through the landscape like a big silver ribbon. From the air it's a brilliant visual reference, you can't miss it. The Tay is actually the longest river in Scotland and it plays a huge part in shaping the whole area around Perth. The town down there is known as a fair city, and when you fly over it, really see why. Everything's neat, green and open, with the old bridges across the river and the hills rising gently in the background. It's one of those places that looks good from the ground, but from the cockpit it really comes alive. Perth has always had a strong aviation link too. The airfield at Scone has been an active flying site for decades, and it's now one of the busiest GA airports in the country. My wife actually calls it mini Heathrow. You've got students learning to fly, microlight pilots keeping current, helicopters coming in and out, and a proper friendly atmosphere on the ground. What I love about basing myself here is the variety of flying you can do. Head west and you're into the mountains. Head east and you've got the coast. The north takes you toward the Cairngorms and the south gives you the lowlands and easy navigation routes. It's basically a perfect central hub for Scottish aviation. And honestly, approaching Perth on a day like today, with the weather clear, the river glistening and the whole landscape stretching out ahead, it really reminds you how lucky we are to fly here. It's the kind of scenery that never gets boring, and in a minute or two we'll start setting ourselves up for the descent and looking out for the circuit entry. But for now, just taking that view, and that's the Perth, Scotland, one of the best spots in the UK to call home base. So we're almost over Perth Airport now, so we'll set ourselves up for the standard overhead join for runway 27. Perth is a real straightforward airfield to join overhead, but like anywhere busy, you've just got to stay sharp, listen in early and keep your eyes outside. So the plan here is simple. We'll come in overhead the airfield at 2,000 feet, which keeps us nicely above the circuit height. From here you can get a proper view at the runway layout, the taxiways, and you can get a good feel for any traffic already in the pattern. As we cross the runway centerline overhead, we'll keep it tight and smooth, watching for anyone climbing out or turning crosswind, as well as listening to the radio. And once we're clear, we'll head round to the dead side, nice and controlled, reducing power, and start the descent down to the circuit height, which here at Perth is 1,000 feet for fixed wing. This is the point where you managing the balance, the speed coming in back, the good lookout for helicopters and microlights, and keeping that descent shallow and stable. Once we're down on the dead side and level at circuit height, we'll turn back onto the downwind leg for runway 27 and getting fully established with plenty of spacing. From there, it's the usual downwind flow, the fuel, temperatures and pressures, landing lights on, flaps as required, and the aircraft trim for a nice steady approach. Runway 27 is a lovely one to land on, plenty of length, good visual references, and you usually get that gentle crosswind rolling off the fields. So that's us, overhead join complete, descending on the dead side, and now we're on finals to land on runway 27, and we're looking good. Right, that's us fully established on final for runway 27 now. The runway's lined up nicely ahead and the aircraft trimmed and settled. So from here, it's all about keeping the picture steady and making those tiny gentle corrections all the way down. Speed's looking good, flaps are set where we want them, and the Eurostar is just gliding in beautifully. You can really feel the air smoothing out as we get lower. Perth is usually kind to you on approach unless the winds are being cheeky, but today it's behaving itself. We'll hold this descent, just keeping that aiming point pinned in the windscreen. Little nudge of rudder here, slight wing dip there, and nothing dramatic. Just keeping her centred on the runway, and that's the thing with these light aircraft. Stay ahead of it, stay relaxed, and it all comes together. Coming through the last couple of 100 feet and the picture's looking spot on. Power's coming back gradually, holding that altitude, watching the end of the runway rise slowly in the screen as we prepare to flare. And now we're just easing back, holding her off, letting the speed bleed away naturally, and there we go, a lovely gentle touchdown on runway 27. Nice and straight, smooth rollout, and that's another landing in the book. Always a good feeling bringing her home like that, especially in this kind of calm evening light. That's me backtracking runway 27 and taxiing back in, nice and easy on the brakes, keeping the centre line as we roll towards the end of the apron. Always a good feeling after a smooth flight. Engine temperature steady, flaps up, and we'll just follow the taxiway round to the parking. Absolutely lovely end to the flight. Thanks for watching and see you on the next one.